Well, we're under attack.
I believe that should be okay.
You've never had headlight casserole before?
Here we are in a 2003 Mustang with this really freaking bright LEDs. They literally go everywhere. They'll shine up on the trees if you looked up there.
These are the low beams. These are the high beams.
Did you see any difference? Because I sure didn't. Hello! My name is Xander Meisman, and I'm going to show you how to retrofit projectors into your stock headlight housings. Here we have aftermarket headlight housings, but the same shape, of course. The thing that you really want to do first is open these up. So on most headlights, I would hope all headlights, there's going to be a sealant that goes around the edge. This is technically 3 pieces. So you'll have the clear piece, which has to come off in order for anything to happen. Then you'll have, if you look in here, this little black piece that goes along all the edges. That's technically a second piece. And for the last one that we did, that kind of came off with the clear piece. And then you have the main housing, which is going to be all of this outside stuff. Now, it's really not that hard. The hardest part is really just opening it up and then sealing it back up because it takes forever. Now the way to open it up though, you cook it. You make a nice little meal out of it. So you have a nice little pan or anything of that sort you can put in the oven. You're always going to want to put a towel down because you don't want that plastic sitting directly on a hot metal plate. And basically, you bake it up 350 degrees or so. Of course, you want to let it preheat. There you go. That was pretty freaking quick. You got a hot oven, and you'll put it in for nothing. Okay, nobody's there. We're safe. Before I was really interrupted. You want to put it in for a little bit of time. Not a huge amount, but you know, enough to that there's like a black sealant that's on the inside that really holds it all together, blocks out all the liquid. You want to heat it up to the point where that comes out, or that it softens up a lot so you can pull the housings apart. So in it goes. By the way, it smells awful. Just saying, it's not something you want to sniff for too long. Make sure that the housing is not touching any piece of the wall, because then it just melts and it's no bueno. So for this one, I'll start off with 4 minutes. Is my dog more interesting than me? I'll start off with it for 4 minutes. We've already done 5, or about another 4 minutes earlier, just to loosen it up a little bit. So, now we wait. Alright, it's been 4 minutes, almost. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, check it out, see how it goes. The timer doesn't start to go nuts. That should be good. It's looking nice and toasty in there. You always got to be careful pulling them back out because you still don't want it to rub up against the wall. Now, these things are going to be hot. It's kind of hard to work your hands with it at first. So the best way is just kind of let it cool down for a sec or two. That black shit stuff's still going to be soft. So we shall wait for a little bit longer. Welcome back! Glad you're here. It's been a little bit, so now we'll go ahead and try to open this bad boy up. instructions, please. One thing you may end up doing is kind of digging out a little bit of that black stuff. It always helps. It doesn't exactly feel the greatest because it's still going to be hot. Once you get an edge off, shit's gonna go easy. It's not hard. So as you see, I got some of it out. And we just gotta focus on getting out the rest. Oh yeah. Also, if your headlights has these little clips, like the one that's snapped here because it's plastic. I broke it. Tis okay though, it isn't really necessary. Anywho.
That's what duct tape and silicone are for.
Yes. You're going to want to pop these little clips out a little bit. That way the headlight is easier to get out without breaking. Like so. It will bend a little bit because why not? Yes! Okay, now we have this all separated. You don't need the oven for right now, or really anymore at all. But now you see what I'm talking about. You have the main piece here. You'll of course have to take this little guy here out. You have to do whatever you want with the housing. Paint it yellow or black or bright flamboyant pink. I don't know. It's your own housing. So let's get started. I would sand it down a little. As you see here, it's already getting really shiny. You don't want anything that'll get that off, but the first thing you really want to do is take this little bad boy here out. And it's not hard. There'll be like a little bit of a sealant to hold it in. And whenever it's still a little bit warm, it'll be just like the silicone sealant on the outside. There we go. Ta-da! Now that shit's out of there. It'll be a lot easier to sand it down. So to sand it, you just get it all up in there. Oh, okay. So, as you'll notice on the back of this, there's this little thing that sticks out from the back. That is so that this little black piece goes onto it and holds the bulb, like the stock bulb, in. With these specific projectors, that will not work because the projector does not sit back far enough. So here is the projector that we are retrofitting in. It's pretty, isn't it? Nice and wide. Basically, you have to mount it in from the front. So it'll sit something like this. Now you notice, if you look at the back, this has to be, you have to actually be able to reach in there because there's a nut that screws in on that, and then there's, on these holes there, there's like a little brace that sits there and has to hold in the bulb that we put in. So, as you see, we're going to have to get rid of this little cover here in order to really be able to work with it. And the best way to do that is to grind it on down. Now, to tell you the truth, the grinder of this sort is not exactly ideal because it's so damn big. But if a grinder like this is all that you really have, it'll work. Like something like a Dremel will work, or if you have hours upon hours upon hours, a file may work. But you're just an idiot at that point. Like you can probably rinse something of that sort.
This Dremel has to be the greatest piece of shit in the world.
Let's give a quick example as to how well that shit works. Now keep in mind it could be because we're using the wrong blade. But do you see any kind of cut in there, Xander? I see where it just kind of scuffed it.
It's like polishing it up a bit.
Which is kind of pointless. So, we get to use this big ass loud thing. We get to go at it. We're going to want to grind this all the way down to where it's smooth with the base, so that we can actually screw on the projector from the back. Let's get started. I'm going to wear a mask, and that's really a good idea whenever you're doing something like this. Usually you're supposed to wear eye protection as well. Oh well, you can't see, but I'm smiling into here, so it would have been a lot funnier, but... Alright. You're also going to want to do this in a pretty well ventilated area, so I'm going to start up a fan. Usually it's not suggested to do it right by a classic car, but this is where my bench is, and this is where my classic car is, and it just so happens to have a really bad clutch, so... I basically look like Pablo Escobar right now, but it's okay. So, you'll see that we grounded this all the way down. I mean, it doesn't exactly have to be pretty. It just needs to be grinded down. So, there you go. Since you also may end up wanting to paint this, you're really going to want to clean it up good because can't have dust and all that just chilling out there.
Buy your expanding garden hose Pro Plus Extreme from Sporty's Tool Shop. Wow, look at that expansion.
Welcome back to the projector retrofit. So somehow I ended up getting a little bit farther without filming it. Here we have the projector is installed in the housing. What do you want, Pat? You want to sniff at the dog some? Is that what you're going to do? Anyways. So we have the projector installed, we have the shroud over the projector, and we have the shiny thingy painted. So you can really just use any kind of like sandpaper or anything to sand this down a little bit so that you can paint it, and you paint it whatever color you want, preferably black. Don't be a ricer. And then here you'll see how we have it and have the projector installed on the back. So the process is you don't have the shroud on. The projector does come separate, as you saw earlier. You take the projector, you put it in from the front, you put it all the way back as far as you can. Then there's this little rubber gasket. There should be one on each side. So there will be one that goes right back here. You may be able to see it. See that? Can you see it?
No.
Okay, well there's a big rubber gasket that goes on the back inside the housing, and then there will be a rubber gasket that goes right here. And make sure that you have this wire pointing out for obvious reasons, so that you don't have to do some weird shit and run it up some different way. Then you have this nut here. You probably can't really see it. But anyways, there's a nut right back here, and that's what you really tighten down to hold the projector in good. Now the point of that nut is you tighten it down really tight, and then the nut actually decides to strip the threads, so it's not going anywhere. It's not going to back itself off over time, and it's not going to do anything goofy. It's just going to hold it in there forever, basically. So once you get that nut on there, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to move out. It's not going to. You're done. Your projector's in. And in this case, we have this little bracket here, which will actually hold the bulb in. It's a H1 HID bulb. That's the size. It's the H1 size. Basically, there's this little metal piece. I don't know if we have it in here. That's besides the point. There's a little metal clip basically that slides down between here and holds the bulb in. You'll see it later. Now for the shroud, you may have to do a little bit of cutting on it, because it won't be able to fit perfectly a lot of times. So on this one, I grinded down the bottom piece, kind of made it an oval, well, half oval, so that it would fit in there properly. It just depends on the application that you're putting it on, but on this one we had to grind it down. Some you may not have to do that on. So now we got the projector and the shroud mounted up in there pretty good. And how I held it up so that it wouldn't just come back off, I put a little bit of a sealant along the projector right up here. There's like a black piece of plastic that holds this main glass piece in. I put some a sealant around that, and then I put the shroud on there, and it stuck in there really well. Then I put duct tape to hold it put duct tape up here to hold it back to the back of the housing so that it wouldn't end up falling off. And once I took the duct tape off, of course there was a little bit of that duct tape stuff, the sticky stuff sitting on there. So I decided to just spray a little bit of degreaser on there. Don't do that. It freaking ate away at the shiny, chrome on the shroud. Nice thing is, you're not really going to be able to see that if you come up here and look at mine real quick. So this is my car. You notice it's the exact same setup overall. You can't really see up here that well, so it's really not that big of a deal. So sorry that I fucked up your projector, but it's okay. It should be. Unless you're some kind of person that goes nuts over that. Anywho, now we're caught up. Now we are ready to install clear piece here back on. Basically, it should just slide right back on overall. You're going to want to put more sealant on there before you do that. If there's sealant still in the tunnel here, basically, you're going to want to get as much of that out as you can, because since that's hardened back up after being heated up, it's not really going to want to move too much. It's going to want to overall stay pretty solid. Like for instance, here we have this ball of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of difficult to really, it'll move, but you don't want to really put this much pressure on plastic to move all that shit in there, because you have to press this in, you end up cracking it somehow. Alright, so after we got the projector mounted and everything, got all the excess sealant out, we went ahead and sealed it back up with our own sealant. So you just put it right back into that little tunnel basically that runs all the way along here that the housing will sit down into. So as you see, we ended up putting a whole lot extra after putting the clear piece back on top. So that really makes it have a good seal. You don't want any kind of moisture leaking in or anything like that, because over time that can cause some pretty serious damage. And that would not be good after all you spend all that time and sometimes money getting everything done. So here's the finished product. I think it looks really, really good. We definitely did a lot of work on them to make it look as good as it does, but you know, it's one of those things. You put in a lot of good work and you get out a really good product. As you see here, it looks really good. It'll look really good on his car as well. But after you get it all sealed back up, certain housings may end up needing to have like a clamp put on them for a while so that they stay sealed, so that they don't pop back off.
That way you don't have to worry about, you know, it just coming off and then water gets in and it just doesn't look so good or anything like that. Now after you get all that done, different headlights will have different little pieces that you have to put back on, like this little rubber piece. I don't know exactly what it is that it does, but you have to slide that back on there on both sides here. Any kind of rubber piece that would go over the actual housing for the bulb before. You need to reinstall that. Overall, that's it. It'll fit right back in the same way. So, finished product, did good.